What's going on, guys? So this is a little bit of a different video. I'm doing a little install on the Artillery X4 Plus. I did a review on this video, or on this printer. You can probably find it right here. I thought this printer was wonderful, but that's not really what this video is about. Why I kept it. A lot of printers that we receive on the channels that do reviews and stuff, people get rid of. They donate them to schools, family, friends, or sell them on Facebook Marketplace. But I like this printer and I broke it. So I got replacement parts for it, and I wanted to just briefly install these parts on camera, but not just necessarily, I suppose, to give a how-to video. This is a very niche printer. I don't expect very many people to have it. I'm not even sure if I sold any of these from the review video. I really just wanted to do a video to show you guys that these printers, 3D printers, even most modern day printers, and it's 2025 now, but even most modern day printers are very repairable. Most of them often with just one singular set of hex tools, and actually most 3D printers even come with the tools required to perform pretty much all the repairs. And the thing is, guys, you really just need to dig in, and that's kind of what I want to talk to you about here, is that if you're getting into the 3D printer world, just dig in and start unscrewing things. It's really scary. I understand that that's a scary thing to do, but most 3D printers, tool heads very specifically, if I want to get into it, aren't that complex. And if you are concerned that you're gonna do something wrong, a lot of companies now are actually offering good Wikipedia pages. Those Wikipedia pages have full, detailed instructions on how to do certain things, but this is not universal, so don't hold me to it, but most tool heads on 3D printers, you take the cover off, and if you look, well, it's probably pretty obvious what screws you're gonna have to remove. For this particular repair that I'm doing, I'm fixing the hot end. I actually took all this stuff off a while ago, maybe 2-3 weeks ago, and I did break something. I broke a wire. Unfortunately, I was just being very rough with the machine. Honest to goodness, I probably should not have been being as rough as I was. So yeah, like I said, I was just being a little too rough with the machine and ended up breaking something. But guys, like, if you are concerned that you guys are gonna break something, and see, look, right here, you probably can't necessarily see this, but these are the wires I broke. These are, I believe, the thermistor wires. They're very, very, very tiny. Look over here. It's these copper wires up front. I believe those are the thermistor wires. I broke those.
And before we go any further, I need to give a shout out to FlexiSpot, because they sent me one of their latest sit stand desks, the E6. And let me tell you, it has been a game changer in my studio setup. For this entire video where I've been repairing the X4 Plus, I've had this desk at a comfortable sitting height, and it has made the process so much easier. This desk is absolutely rock solid. That means nothing wobbles, nothing shifts, and that goes a long way when you're working with a very delicate machine like the X4 Plus. Of course, the E6 has 4 programmable height settings, 1 for standing, 1 for sitting, and 2 other customizable positions. For me personally, I have buttons 3 and 4 at those in-between settings between sit and stand. Plus, you can easily dial in any custom height using the up and down arrows. And that is great for getting things just right. But this desk isn't just perfect for repairing your 3D printers. As you can see, it's really wide. This desk is 72 inches wide. I can easily have my Creality high with 2 CFSs all on the desk all at once for easy accessibility. That means when I'm not working on printers, I can easily set this desk to standing height and easily add new rolls of filament to the CFSs. But this desk isn't just perfect for 3D printing, because whether I'm filming, repairing, or doing any other general studio work, having these customizable height settings has made all of my work smoother and more efficient. So if you're someone who spends a lot of time at the desk, whether you're working, tinkering, or creating, I think something like this might be down your alley. The adjustability and stability of the FlexiSpot E6 sit stand desk is something that you are definitely going to appreciate. This now being my second FlexiSpot sit stand desk, I can comfortably tell you that the quality that you receive at the price point that you pay is very much deserved. These desks are honestly wonderful, and I genuinely do not see myself ever owning a sit stand desk from another competitor.
and now I need to repair them. So figured, why not do this on camera? Tell you guys, I know a lot of people are just too scared to dive deep. People are too scared to dig into their machine. And if you are, I have a couple tips for you. Well, the primary tip is just record what you're doing. And if you do that, if you record what you're disassembling, then you will know how to put it back together. See, look at this. I see here that there's a break in the heatsink, which means that's how the wires got in there. I just gotta remove the fan. See this? I can just put this right back. Don't even have to mess with this. And when you start taking stuff off, just inspect it too, right? Like, don't just go willy-nilly do things. I mean, if you honest to goodness are scared, be slow, methodical. Take your phone out, take pictures of everything you remove. They even make parts trays for screws, for people that do like cell phone disassemblies. They'll have these like silicone parts trays where every time you remove a screw, you put it in a numbered or labeled parts tray, and see how that just comes right out? See, how does this come out? Does it just slide out? It's nothing to really be concerned about. There's replacement parts everywhere for these things, especially directly with the manufacturer. If they're not available, like on the website, a lot of these manufacturers have parts that you can buy that are not on the website. And they've got all these parts have published repair guides on YouTube, on the Wikipedia page, and numerous places. And rip the wire out. Irrelevant because it already needed to go, but these little tiny JST connectors, do not rip them directly from the wire. This one was already broken, so that's why I used it in an attempt to get it out. If you are attempting to repair something like this, like these JST connectors, or if you're trying to remove them and not break them, do not ever grab from the wire and pull. Surefire way to break something. Also, another tip, when you're working on printers, make sure your printer is unplugged and there's no power going to it. Definitely, if it's still plugged, for one, if it's plugged in, unplug it. But if it happens to be plugged in for some reason, do not leave the printer on. Absolutely do not work with these things when it's on. You have no idea where you're gonna short, and shorting wires and shorting pins is terrible. An unknown number of things can happen if you short. You just gotta like stick my needle nose tweezers in there and manually release those clips. Guys, tweezers, needle nose tweezers like this, very helpful for repairs. Okay, so the next thing I needed to remove was this. This should be a lot easier to get out. Thicker wire. All right, supposedly this is, as I originally suspected, this should just come right out, but it's not. I think that might be because I have probably filament stuck in there. This should just be sliding right out, because if I look at this thing, this is all that it is. It is just a round nub that fits inside there. It's like it's glued in. Oh God. Okay. Anyway, so then you just right back. Oh, look at that. Well, no, it's not as easy as like. Now, how do I get this thing back in? That is the question of the day. This thing goes like this. Generally, you should be fairly cautious, knowing what to touch and what not to touch. But like in this sense, the little copper wire that I broke before is quite delicate and you don't want to break it. I need to remove the threads on this. Then I need to push this thing deep in. I think that's gonna make this job much easier. Okay, that is all the way in. Now I can thread this in carefully. All right, now I can put these wires in here, put this wire in here like this. Perfect. While we have it down here, let's put the fan back on. Actually, first I want to put this on. Then, also I want to make very clear that this is a significantly more difficult repair than I believe most people will be attempting themselves. Most people would likely be repairing a fan, which is super duper easy and much. Now we need to use these needle nose tweezers and fish this wire back in. Good luck doing this without breaking it. Oh, that definitely needed to go in first. Okay, so we're gonna have to take this clip off again. Or I can use the needle nose tweezers to lift this to provide room for it to go in. Okay, Fan, where's my fan? Oh, fan is up here. I believe these were the fan screws. Other fan screw. Now, this has to go plug back in here very gently. Getting it out was a nightmare, and getting it in is also going to be a nightmare. Let's put this one in first. I think it was like this, actually. Yeah, it definitely was like this. And that's why recording doing the repair is beneficial, because you can then go back and confirm your suspicions. So the extruder needs to go like this, so I can actually screw it together. Okay, and sometimes different tools are just better. They just work better for different jobs. So I have this tool as well, and sometimes it works better than these hex keys. I mean, sometimes they don't, sometimes they do. Having a wide variety of tools is always good. See, like now that's just so much easier to get it in and twist a lot rapidly. Sinks the screw much faster, although I'm getting less torque off this tool. So then I can come back in with this guy and torque it down more appropriately. Now that I'm not battling the actual extruder falling off kind of thing. Okay, now turn that gear and it's definitely doing something. Last but not least, we have a couple screws to button up over here. Of course, now all the screws are back together and I'll need to plug it up, do a test to make sure the nozzle's actually heating up, because my particular repair was a nozzle repair that includes the thermistor wire, which tells you what the temperature of the actual nozzle is. That includes the actual heater wire, so hopefully those two wires are connected properly, and fingers crossed, if the repair went well, then it works. But if you're replacing a fan, before you bolt the cover or screw the cover back on, maybe turn the printer on and watch the fan spin up. If the fan doesn't spin up, then you don't have to go to the extra effort of unscrewing everything and doing it again. But that particular repair was a lot more difficult and cumbersome than I expected it to be. However, I didn't look up any instructions prior. I did look up how to remove the heater from the heatsink because it wasn't coming out like I expected it to. But I took a pause, I went and looked, and yeah, it's just that easy, guys, except this one. Anyway, I'll see you next one.